Sue Brown Moore teaches aspiring authors how to develop a strong author brand personality. That means demystifying voice and building a unique author identity that resonates with readers. And on top of this, her entire business is built with Thrive Suite, which you're going to get to learn more about shortly. I hope you enjoy my conversation with her. Well, I am thrilled to be joined by Sue Brown Moore. Thrilled. I kind of really want to learn what your story looks like. Let's just dive right into it. Who are you and what's your story?
Well, my name is Sue Brown Moore. I am the host and founder of the Wanna Write Romance virtual conference. We had our first year just earlier this month, and it was amazing. Getting to connect with all of those romance writers and other romance industry professionals, because that's what I do. I am an editor, an educator, a coach, and a consultant for fiction writers. And my goal is to help writers learn how to craft stronger stories in fewer drafts. And I am most excited about working with romance writers because that is my passion as a reader. I have read thousands of romance books, and I just love it. So all of that in a nutshell is I am a book revision and planning specialist.
One of the side note questions that I had for you was why romance? And you just have a passion for romance.
I do have a passion for romance. If I could choose any genre to only read that for the rest of my life, it would be romance. I will say I like fiction in general, especially speculative. I love sci-fi and fantasy, especially when there's those interpersonal moments. But romance is really special. It has a really special place in fiction because it is essentially the language of hope, right? It's about receiving love and giving love in all the different forms, even friendship and family.
Sue.
It's
that is so deep and so true. And if you think about it, even non-romance novels, a lot of them include some sort of like romance in them, right?
Yeah. People use it even for my conference. I expected this to be a conference for people who actually write romance or want to write like specifically in the genre of specifically romance, not a sub-theme, as a genre. And I had a lot of people coming in and say, I write cozy mystery or I write sci-fi and I want to add romantic sub-themes to my story. And they came to it for that. So there's a lot of romance out there, even if we don't think about it as romance per se.
Can I ask you something super random? What would you say is a good romance novel to get started reading if you want to get started reading romance?
Oh, that's a really hard question. Partly because it depends on what you read. So if you read sci-fi and you want to sort of dip your toes in, then you're going to probably want something that is sci-fi with romantic themes. Or if you're like, well, I already know I like that, then you would want to go sci-fi romance. So what I would recommend is just do an Amazon search to see what's popular right now. Read the blurb. Does it call to you? Does it use tropes and themes that get you excited that you're like, ooh, I like that, or ooh, no, I don't want that, right? Like follow your gut on that.
Nice.
But a really good way, I would think, for anybody at this point, especially if you like fantasy, to start with romance is romantasy. It's the hot trend right now. A Court of Thorns and Roses. There's tons of other romantasies out there. The Fourth Wing. So, I mean, if you want kind of a blend of action and romance, go for romantasy.
Romantasy. That's the first time I hear that term. Interesting.
It's romantic fantasy.
How many books does Sue Brown Moore read in a month?
Oh, these days, not as many. When you become an editor, you don't get to read as much, which just sounds counterintuitive, right? But as a book blogger, which is actually how I started, I did book reviews for free because it was fun, because I loved it. For 10 years. That's right. You did your research.
The reason why I know all of this is because Sue has a wonderful website that is probably going to be showing up on screen. And she has a section on her website called AMA where she simply answers some of their most commonly asked questions in video format. It's the typical content that you would normally expect to find on YouTube or Instagram, but you have it on your website, and I kind of love it. And I was just watching a lot of those videos, and seriously, if anyone watching at home is interested in learning more about you, go check them out because they're great. And I'm not even a writer myself, and I was like literally tuned and hooked onto them. But yeah, going back, you were a reviewer for 10 years, right?
I was a book reviewer for 10 years. That's how I got into the publishing industry. And I found that I was starting to write reviews for the author. I was starting to give feedback not for the reader, but for the author. But to answer your question previously, the number of books that I read when I was a reviewer was, oh, many, 3 to 4 a week at least, maybe sometimes more. I'm a very fast reader and I also have no patience. So if it's something I don't like, I just don't finish it. I'm a DNF reader.
Okay,
Not
let
great
me
as an
ask you
editor, by the way.
something. I was gonna ask you. I have a. I don't know how to call it. I don't know if it's a disorder, but I feel like I do a disrespect when I don't finish a book, and I don't know how to not finish a book. Like even if I'm not
Mm.
enjoying it, I have a hard time. Like I need to finish it.
Well, I would say if you're like struggling to get through it and you're like, I'm gonna read this, but I'm really not having a good time, then how do you want to be spending your time, right?
That's
Do
a
you
good.
want to
Yeah,
be
that's a
spending
fair
your time
point.
like what are you thinking about when you're reading that book? Go do that instead. Because like I don't there's a book out there for every reader. There's an author for every reader. And I don't get too precious about whether or not somebody's book is right for me because it's going to be right for somebody else. So I just, after I give it a good try, I give it a good try. And if it's not fitting me, I just move on to the next book. And that's okay. Now, I'm not returning these books, right? I'm not doing the scam where you audiobook and then return that not like that. But just it doesn't have to be okay for you and you don't have to leave a bad review. Just respect your personal time. That's what I think.
That sounds fair. So I do want to ask you. You've been a reviewer for 10 years. You're now an editor. Wait, you said that you were starting to review more for authors than for people who were interested in looking for books. Were authors actually hiring you to review their books?
No, but what did happen was I went into beta reading. So I was a book reviewer and I realized that the kind of feedback I was putting into these reviews was not for the readers. It was for the people writing the books. And so I reached out to some authors that I knew on Facebook as I was part of their street team or promotion team. And they were looking for beta readers. And I was like, well, I'll read your book and give you feedback on it. I'm doing it anyway. So sure. And through that process of working with writers, basically in a free capacity as a beta reader, I found out that I had this ability to naturally developmentally edit a story. And what that means is that I can look at a story and understand what's wrong with it and why. And then I can tell the writer, here's what's wrong, and here are some possibilities for you to fix it. I don't tell you how to fix it, I just tell you what's wrong with it and why that's wrong. So you can follow your gut.
Nice.
And that is what led me into editing. And from there, I basically just took a super brave step, went to a writer's meeting and was like, hello, I'm a brand new editor. I'm looking for clients. And I met the one of the clients that I'm still very good friends with today who opened up this whole world of referrals to me.
Hmm. So, God, all right. So you're as much of what I like calling an entrepreneur as you can be. But I have to ask you, you also know your marketing. You also know your online business because I've seen your website and I know and I've already spoken to you off camera and I know that you're a little bit of a Thrive Themes power user. How'd you get into the online marketing world?
Well, I didn't do it because I wanted to be a marketer, to be honest. I am very shy. I know this doesn't come across right now. I am introverted and I am shy and I have serious anxiety and imposter syndrome. Neurospicy right here. So if you are that kind of person and you're like, I could never market because, oh gosh, the people, the eyes, all the peopling, I feel you and it's okay. It's okay. What really happened was I wanted to work for myself. I've always wanted to work for myself. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like being told how to do it. I like full creative freedom, full freedom of schedule. I want to wake up when I want to wake up, you know the drill. And so with that comes all the responsibility of the entire company. So if you are a solopreneur of any kind, or even with a small team, you wear a lot of hats. One of those hats is marketing, because if you're going to be successful, you must market in some way. You must sell your services in some way. And I knew I wanted to do that on a website because I like written short form. I love writing articles, reviews, giving my feedback in little bursts, right? So I knew I needed something, some sort of website tools that could help me do what I needed to do quickly and easily and not be a whole lot of hassle. And that is kind of how I came to find Thrive Themes. I don't even know how I found you originally. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, how did I find it? I don't know. Probably some promo video, probably some marketing video. And then I was like, oh, what's this?
Do you know when?
I'd have to look at my account. It's
I,
been a, it's been
like
a long
are we
time.
are we? It's so we're talking years now.
Many years. Yeah.
Oh,
Many.
many years. Okay. And do you remember if you tried something else before Thrive Themes?
I did. I did.
You
The pain
did.
points, oh my God, of other things. Yeah, I had originally, I think my original tech stack was a self-hosted WordPress site that I hosted with a hosting company that did not give any support for WordPress. Do not recommend, by the way, bad idea. Because WordPress is finicky, and it's if you're
Mhm.
trying to stack like a theme from this developer on Creative Market with widgets from these other developers who are
It
completely
gets
separately
clunky.
supported. They all have their separate support systems. Oh my gosh. And they don't always play nice. They don't always update at the same time. WordPress auto updates and then everything breaks and then you have nobody, you can't even log in. And now what are you doing? You're trying to like learn coding and hacking. Oh my God, it's terrible, right? So that was the pain point basically where I was like, I cannot spend this much time trying to troubleshoot something I do not want to be troubleshooting. And when I found that Thrive Themes has your own dedicated support system and they are responsive and they are friendly and they do a great job, I mean, like, sold. I don't need anything else. It's everything I need is here.
Let me actually ask you, do you use anything else alongside our tools now?
I use things that your system does not cover.
Such
So,
as
like funnel software. So
funnel
if I
software.
wanted to, yeah, so if I wanted to like map out from a high level view, like here's my landing page and here's this form on this page and this tags this in ConvertKit. Okay, this is going to get very complicated if I keep talking, but but basically I use I have other little things that help me sort of organize my thought processes. I guess productivity tools that are not present in Thrive Themes, so I literally cannot use them. But I do not need an external school, for example, because
Gotcha.
you have Apprentice.
Right.
So now that you have that, there's a dashboard in Apprentice, which is amazing. I have that, right? So as you're adding features over time, the experience just gets better and better because the things that I was like, well, I like this because price point and because it's all here and supported, but that maybe it doesn't have these well, best, bells and whistles. But now, as you're adding those things, it's just every update is better. But I would like some sort of high level view. Like if I have a landing page and I want to know from a high level what form is on that page, which leads Thrive
Hmm.
leads form is on that page, so I can just like otherwise I have to edit the page and then scroll down, click on the form, and if it's in a conditional box, and I have to click in the conditional box, and then I have to like pull down the right box, click. I mean, like there's multiple clicks here for me to figure out what tag am I assigning in ConvertKit and what form am I sending them to, right? So like I would just like to have a high level view of that.
And
This is a super user problem.
it's no, it is a problem. It's a look. It's great. It's a problem that needs fixing. We may be in the process. Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? Time will tell. But I think we're gonna make you happy sometime soon. Um, cool. So I want to ask you from a business standpoint. If I go to SueBrownMore.com right now, I know that I can purchase. Uh, I think I saw a course about how to self-edit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Pre-edit, but yes,
Okay,
essentially.
pre-edit. How many courses do you sell?
That's a great question. Something like 10, I think.
Okay, so you
um,
so you. I'm trying to understand your different revenue streams right now from your website.
yeah, yeah.
You've got
Well,
courses.
as am I. So we're in the same boat with that. Look, being your own boss is basically this ever-changing journey of like what's working, what's not working, what am I going to do next? So what I just now did was a summit, and the summit brings people into my ecosystem, and then I can email them with my email
Right.
funnel, which I do through ConvertKit, which you natively connect to, which thank God, no extra things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I offer them things. So I have the pre-edit course that you were talking about, which starts out with a 10-day free webinar, which is just the high level, like here's the 3 or 4 things that you can do right now to see if your story is ready to send to an editor or critique partner. Because what I found is a lot of people they'll finish a book or maybe even not finish a book because you're like, I don't know what to do now, so I'm stuck. And then they give it to somebody else to read, whether that's a paid service or not. And then that person gives them feedback that then totally changes the book. But what if you could be confident in what you were writing, the structure of the story you were writing before you let somebody else see it? Then
Hmm.
you're getting even more out of that critique that you're getting, that you're paying for, spending time on. And that's basically what that pre-edit webinar is all about, is how do you learn to think like an editor for yourself so you can pre-edit your own story, which works from a editing perspective once you've written it and a planning perspective. Okay, what do I need to do to write a good story the first time? So that's just one of the courses. And I have other things that sort of drill down into different nuances of writing.
Summits, courses. Do you offer one-on-one consultations?
Yes, sometimes. So that's something I used to do a lot of. And was a page, it's hidden now, but there was a page on my website that hooked out into a calendar app where you could just pay and book an hour with me. I also had a small group program. I tested that out last fall. So I worked with seven romance writers and 3 editors in training. And we had a very quick, intense 12 weeks together, and it was amazing. So I do sell other sorts of things. So I have small group programs. I did a summit. I have courses. Sometimes I do one-on-one consults. I'm also starting a membership soon next year. So that's something and a challenge to lead into that. So I'm really just sort of working on all these different types of ways to serve people who want to write romance books.
Do you know one thing that I'm learning from having these conversations with you folks, and I think you're the 8th or 9th person that I've spoken to this year, is that many business owners like yourself who are not technically marketers end up realizing that, hey, running an online business is work. Like, it takes time. It's a lot of work. Do you enjoy it?
I do. And it's weird. It's weird that I like working, because when I worked in corporate, I hated working. And I couldn't wait.
You used to work in corporate.
I did. I was a project manager for many years.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I mean, I was going to ask you, how'd you end up as an entrepreneur? But that could go on for like another half hour. Yeah. Well, whoever's interested in learning more about your story can go to your website or find you. I'm going off tangent now, but people can find you on social media as well.
I am on social media, but I'm not that active on social media. So if you wanted to really find me, Instagram is the best place. That's, if I'm going to update anywhere, it's Instagram. I think right now it's all about my summit. So if you go, there's like 15 posts about my summit. I am on Facebook. I don't update it that much. Social is not something I'm comfortable with, like as somebody who's shy and like kind of vulnerable and doesn't like, I've been bullied in the past. I just don't really care for social media, which is why I love email, short form, blog posts, that sort of thing. And the one-on-one work I can do with clients once we're together, right? Like I don't like the mob mentality of social media. It just doesn't make me feel good. But if there is one place that's happier than the others, it is Instagram. So yes, I am on Instagram.
It's lovely. I want to ask you, I'm looking at your website. And I don't think you are, but I'm going to ask you, are you using Bookwise, the theme?
No.
You're not using
It's
Bookwise.
custom.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it, but I didn't choose it because I don't write my own books. I don't sell my own books. I help people write books, but I don't actually write books. So
And
there's no books for me
here's
to sell.
Tony again asking random questions. Don't you enjoy the process of writing your own books?
That's a great question I get all the time, is why don't you write your own books? And part of me is like, well, what do you mean by write a book, right? That's just a package. It's a format. It's a way of taking words and packaging them up and selling them and saying, the expectation here is you're going to spend however many hours, 5 to 8 hours, reading this package of information. I do the same thing, but I do it in articles, emails. I do short form more comfortably than I do long form. And because I work with books so often, it's not a space I want to explore. I'm very comfortable with books. I'm always challenging and pushing myself, and I want to do things that I'm always learning from, right? So for me, that is the short form little bursts of exploration. But if I wrote a book, it would be nonfiction. It would not be romance, because I don't have voices in my head. Nobody's telling me to write their story, because that's not how my brain works, right?
That is so fascinating to me. That's amazing. All right. Sue, I've got some good news for you. You're going to be named CEO of Thrive Themes for a full day. And what's even better, you're going to get all of the resources in the universe. You can create a new plugin that you think is missing from our suite of plugins. You can add a new feature to an existing plugin. Money is not an issue. Amount of developers is not an issue. Tony is not going to be an issue. I mean, you've got the full power. What would you do as CEO?
Well, what I would do is have some sort of like a funnel software that gives you a top-down view of where your pages are going and what's on them. So I have lots of lead pages, right? And when I say lead pages, I don't mean the software. I mean pages that I built in Thrive Architect that use Thrive Leads elements that capture people's email addresses and then send them somewhere else. So there's a lot of complexity in a funnel like that. It connects to other pieces of my ecosystem like ConvertKit for email or, other things, right? But what gets really complicated is sometimes I forget, okay, on this lead page, which form did I use? And what tags did I add? Because I use conditional boxes. There are conditional boxes within Thrive Architect that allow you to show specific parts or hide specific parts of a web page based on UTMs, like URL parameters, right? Which is super powerful. Like I can do in one page what other people are doing in 10 pages, right? Way better for my hosting costs because yes, just all around better. So it gets really complicated if I have a different form in each of these conditionals because I need to tag them differently based on which refers they like, which affiliates they came in through or whatever. I need an easy way to see what's in that page without having to edit the page, go into each conditional box, click to show the box, click into the form, edit the form, see what I'm going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much here. So then even within each of those boxes, I can choose to send someone to a different URL. I could give them a little thank you pop-up, or I can send them to a URL, which is what I always do because I think it's better for marketing. So, what page am I sending someone to? What are the parameters that they're going to see? I just need an easier way to see my system at a glance. That is the number one thing that I would do.
I wish I could reply. I can't, unfortunately, but hey, the team is watching, so that's all I'm going to say.
But I will say that if I were going to update something, there's two things that existing plugins I would update. One of them is Apprentice, and I'm really glad that Apprentice has a dashboard now. For a while, there was no dashboard, and that was very hard to use. But that dashboard could be more robust. So I would like to see more functionality within the Apprentice dashboard. Especially so that I'm not having to every time I go back to the members list, I have to re-enter what I already put in. Like I want it to just flow from screen to screen, give me more in-depth analysis of different things. The other thing I would do is for Ultimatum, for the lockdown feature, I would like to be able to reset my database history. So if somebody has already gone through something and I want them to be able to go through it again, right now there's no way to do that. I can't, unless I could manually update the database, which I am not going to do. Let's be real. I need a way to reset people individually or as a whole. So, because, sometimes they're like, oh, well, I was on vacation or I was sick or whatever, and they want to see this sequence again. I'd like that freedom to offer it to them. So those are the two internal changes I would make, and they're pretty nuanced.
Right. Okay. Again, taking notes. This is great. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. This is why these conversations are worth it, just for these 2-minute golden nuggets that you guys give me all the time. This is awesome. All right, Sue, to wrap it up, just a quick rapid fire questions that I want to ask you just to get to know you a little bit more, if that's okay. Do you have a favorite Thrive Suite tool?
I have two of them, and I can't choose because they work together. Architect for page building and Apprentice for the school. Why would I want to pay for an extra school when I can just do it in my website and control it? Perfect.
Classics. Yeah, I'm getting Architect the most, followed by Apprentice. And I had one person once say Quiz Builder. This is really cool. You seem like a very productive person. Do you have a favorite productivity tool?
That's a good question. I think if I had to choose anything, it would probably be Notion.
Notion?
For easy documenting things and sharing with the team.
And you all kind of already answered this one. You do use social media, but not really. I mean, you're on social media, but not really use it.
Yeah, Instagram, if anything, but it's not my favorite place.
Gotcha. Do you have an entrepreneur that inspires you?
Yeah, actually, Krista Miller of Summit in a Box. I just finished doing a summit with her, and she's just so inspiring. She's doing things in a space where people have typically been negative. The summit and challenge spaces, people are like, ah, that doesn't work. It's sleazy. It's not the way Krista does it, and she just keeps keeping on. And I relate to that as somebody in a space like romance where we are stereotyped as something that's like, oh, we don't talk about that, even though it's the best-selling genre, one of the best-selling genres consistently. So yeah, she's killing it. It's great. Love it.
I'll have to check her out. Okay, what's one book that everyone should read?
Oh, what a great question. I'm going to show it to you.
Oh, you're gonna show it to me.
Want to get this?
Neil
Art
Gaiman.
Matters.
Art Matters.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's illustrated by Chris Riddell. I will show you how much I love this book. I signed it to myself
Too soon.
as inspiration.
Oh,
It says, never forget why you do what you do and never lose sight of the possibilities of your open mind.
I'm
And
gonna
the
add
date
it
was
to my.
8/6/19. So August, this is my birthday. Oh, it was a birthday present to me. Huh.
Nice.
The
Hey,
night,
that's
2019.
that's lovely. I'm gonna add it to my Amazon.
It's
Buying
very
list.
easy to read because it's illustrated and it's just all about high concept.
What
Here's
was
why
the name again?
Art Matters. Art
Matters.
by Neil Gaiman.
Okay.
And then for writers, the other one I would recommend is On Writing by Stephen King,
Okay, that one I've heard of.
because it is just so
Nice.
down to earth and easy to read. I don't like horror or thrillers or any of that. I don't actually read Stephen King, but this book is very good,
Nice.
very approachable.
I know you're a book person. Are you a movie person? Is there a movie that everyone should watch?
I do like movies. Yeah. So it's hard for me to choose a favorite movie because it's whatever's flavored the month, But I think because Inside Out's on my mind right now because Inside Out 2 just came out. Inside Out from
watched the
Pixar is
second
so
one.
good.
I watched
Did
the
it
second
did
one.
did it make you stressed out? You made me stressed out.
It made me emotional. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen so many people at a movie theater crying. Even though it's not a sad movie, but it's a very emotional movie. It's a really good movie. I think it's a great.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah,
Have you seen the first one, Inside Out?
I
the
did
first?
watch the first one. Yeah, they're
It's
both
so
great.
clever. Yeah, it's such a great way of looking at the inside. Like, how do we work, right? Like, if you were to take how people work and make it a fictionalized version, that is exactly what it is, and it's so clever and it's so smart, and it makes me want to be more open minded, which I
It's
love.
just Pixar movies they have this thing. But yeah,
They're very good storytellers.
they're
and I
very good
respect that.
storytellers. Yeah, likewise. I know you don't consider yourself a marketer. Maybe you do now at this point, but is there a marketing trend that you're excited about?
I like marketing now. I didn't like it at first, but now
Mm.
it's like it's a fun game. Like, what's working? Let's look at the data. Um, is there a trend I'm excited about right now? It's hard to say. I don't really follow trends just in life in general. This kind of goes along with that whole like don't tell me what to do kind of thing. Like, oh, the crowd's doing this, I'm going to go do something else. Right? I'm prickly like that. But I would say that right now, what I'm wanting to do is a challenge. Because I like working, I like live rounds. I like working with people. I like direct feedback and like seeing that transformation happen in real time. So I think I'm working on some private audio stuff right now. Podcasts is like, let me help you learn for free or very low price. And then what do you need? Let's open up some channels for you. And then one of those channels I want to do is a challenge into a membership.
Nice. I have to ask you before we wrap it up. How do you feel about AI, especially in the writing space? Do you
So
see it?
tricky.
Yeah.
I am not threatened by AI.
Okay.
I don't write fiction. That said, even if I did write fiction, I would not be threatened by AI because, yes, it is trained by people on people's work, and the morality of that is beyond gray, right? So that's not the part I wanted to talk about. But it's such a good productivity tool because it gives you ideas. I got the course name Liar Liar Plot on Fire from AI. Like, I didn't think of that. I'm not that clever, right? So people who are writing fiction are worried about AI is writing, like the market is flooded with AI written books. But the thing is that readers, especially readers who are well read and deep in a genre like romance, we know what real stories are, and we want the personal touch. AI can't do that. There's nobody out there who can write what you can write.
I was going to ask you, do you think that, and perhaps this is true already, I was going to ask you, do you think that at one point we're simply just going to buy people more than the stories themselves? Like, okay, I know that this story was written by Sue. I want to read that story because it was written by Sue. I mean, we already do that, right, today, but perhaps even
We
more
already
so
do
in the
that.
future. Yeah.
I would say that like the first level of marketing is the blurb, is the book, is what is the book about? What are the tropes and themes that are in it? And then once a reader gets that experience, they decide, do I want more of this experience? And that experience is the brand. And one of the things I teach is brand voice. Like, what is a brand voice as an author, and how do you stand out in a crowd? Well, ultimately, people aren't looking for just stories. They are looking for experiences. And a consistent brand guarantees an experience. So really, we are buying people, I guess is a good way you could say it. We are buying an experience, the expectation of an experience. And a good brand will give you that consistently.
I think that's a beautiful note to end the conversation on. Sue, thank you so much for your time. I think this was wonderful.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I've loved the Thrive theme suite for so long. I'm like a super user here. So I think everyone should use it. And I am really honored to be featured. Thank you for talking to me. It's been wonderful.
Well, it's SueBrownMoore.com, right? Where people can find you?
That's right. Yeah,
Awesome.
SueBrownMoore.com.
Well, thank you so much again. Thanks. Sue is one of those people that I think anyone can benefit from listening to, whether you like writing or not. I strongly encourage you to check out her site at SueBrownMoore.com to learn more about her work. And hey, if you run your online business with Thrive Suite and want to sit down with me for 20-25 minutes and tell me more about how you've built your business using our tools, be sure to fill out the form that you'll find in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.